All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. Harmless Dave here. Of course, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and me. Today, we have a very special guest. I think I'm going to introduce the entire country, at least my country here in the United States, to a band they haven't heard of before, a melodic rock band, right? That kind of sounds like Journey, Toto, Foreigner. I mean, the chorus in one of these songs that I was listening to the other day is just very Toto-esque, and I'll cover that with our special guest. Please welcome all the way from the UK. His name is Mick White. Mick, how are you today?
Hey, do you know what? After that introduction, my friend, I am wonderful. That was you. You couldn't really have said anything more to complement what we're trying to do with White Sky. So thank you so much, and it's great to be here.
All right, I'm gonna put pressure on you right away during this interview. The chorus to this song, One Step Forward. Can you sing a little bit of that chorus for me?
One step forward, two steps back. You gotta listen to the rhythm and stay on track now.
Oh, all right. So if that doesn't whet your appetite for this entire album, by the way, Crossfire Metal said that this album was a 10 out of 10. They said it would be the melodic rock band of 2022. Do you agree with those guys?
Wow. I mean, that's an incredible statement. I mean, there's been some amazing records this year, but you know, we're just blown away with the positivity about the album because you're talking about a style of music that really had its heyday early 80s, mid 80s,
Yeah.
And we set out to pay homage to that, really, to pay homage to that time, not to plagiarize, but to pay homage to it and try and write some tunes that would stand up with those mega bands that you talked about earlier. So, people to be saying what they're saying about it is just wonderful. We are buzzing about the reaction.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: a lot of this music goes under the radar, even the stuff that gets a lot of promotion. And you guys are on a record label. That's no, I'm not hitting the record label or anything. Not saying anything bad about the record label, but I would say the record label is kind of a B or C list melodic rock record label. It's not a bad label. I've got I don't know if you've seen this, but I've got Pearls and Flames.
Yeah, sure.
And I found that, and I was like, holy crap. It's under the radar. You guys are from the UK, and you guys have had, over there in that country, you've had a fairly rich tradition of this style of music, although maybe a little bluesier. You think of like Bad Company and things like that.
Yeah.
But during the 80s, again, I mean, FM, Steve Overland, right? I mean, just
the voice.
Yeah.
Voice.
Exactly. And a lot of people over here, honestly, they go, who's Steve Overland? And I go, okay, well, you kind of have to, branch out a little bit. Are you guys a real band? Do you go out and play gigs? How's that going?
Well, if I can sort of backtrack just a little bit and kind of tell you the kind of the way it all kind of happened.
Yep.
So myself and Ray Calcutt, the guitarist, so we're very good friends from the 80s, late 80s. I was the singer in Samson and a band called First Strike. He was the guitarist and songwriter with a band called Yaya, who did this incredible album, Yaya 2, which is this cult kind of British AOR album. So Ray and I were good friends, and we kind of talked very much about doing this AOR project for many years. Lockdown happened, and he started firing some songs over to me, and then we brought in a guy called Pete Lakin, who was the keyboard player in a band called Dante Fox. Pete was the kind of thing that he brought all together. He's a great producer and arranger. We just started writing these tunes, like I said. We kind of ended up writing this whole album through lockdown, and we took our time, and Pete took a long time mixing the album. And then we came out the other side, and through a mutual friend, I approached the record company Pride and Joy, Birgit, who has the label. She loved it. She offered us a deal very quickly, literally over a weekend. She came back to me and said, "I want this. Let's do it."
Nice.
And so we had 2 years, 18 months, 2 years of taking our time, writing these songs, crafting this album, labor of love. And then, of course, getting signed, very German. She's like, right, I want 3 singles. I want the album to come out on this date. And we were like, okay, we don't have a band. So we had to kind of think about who we wanted to bring in as a rhythm section. There was a guy called Daz Lamberton who I put out a solo album this year as well. Daz came in on drums for one of the singles, Sometimes Superman. So I had him in mind for this. And then we had a guy called Rob Naylor, who's the bass player from a band called the Blood Red Saints, who are another big AOR, British AOR band. We put in Rob on bass and literally did 3 videos in the space of, they came out like within the space of sort of 4 weeks in between. Just as a kind of, because that's how you kind of do promo now for albums. You don't really do the physical single anymore, and all that kind of stuff. So so we literally, the final single that we did for Emily, which came out 2 weeks before the album, so it came out at the end of September. The first time the 5 of us has actually all been in the same room together. So then the album's come out, and we've literally just started to rehearse as a band. And put it together. So the plan is now 2023, we're going to go out and we're going to play, and we're going to try and get these wonderful songs out to as many people as want to listen to them. So in terms of the band as a unit, it's very much in its infancy. Rehearsals sound incredible. And we are, I mean, beyond our wildest dreams, to be honest. So, everyone's singing, the harmonies are incredible. The songs have just got a little bit more punch than they do on the album. So it's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
It's just so good to hear all that enthusiasm. And you mentioned it at the beginning about how, hey, this is a music format, a genre that it's not, I don't want to say it's dying, but it's holding on, but it's for people who just know in their hearts, hey, this is the music I grew up listening to. I mean, there are a lot of bands that are, a lot of music from Sweden. I'm always talking to guys from Sweden. Those guys are very dedicated.
It's a slightly different sound, though, isn't it, from Sweden? I mean, I think that's something we consciously set out not to make, that kind of record. We wanted to do something that was more in the traditional, obviously, an AOR sound of, obviously the bands you mentioned, Journey Foreign and Toto, but, Loverboy, Night Ranger, and Rick Springfield, very much that Living in Oz album, I mean, he was a massive influence on me. I think I was the only person in the UK who'd ever heard of him, but he was a massive influence. The Living in Oz, the Teo, and the Rock of Life albums were phenomenal, well produced, great songs. So it really wanted to be Honeymoon Suite, bands like that had that, those great kind of sounds. So that was really where we wanted to go. Whereas I think the Scandinavians have this incredible sound. They've all got these singers that sing, on through the roof, which I can't do. It's a different kind of sound. I guess it's more towards the late 80s. Those bands like Europe and those bands that were coming through then, they kind of take more of their sound from that, I think.
Yeah, there's an edginess to it. It's a little more modern in a way, and I would say it's a little more minor key, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense completely.
I mean, you guys write hooks,
isn't it? A little bit more dramatic.
You guys write these big hooks. I had a band on the other day, and they're old school. I'm sure you know of Roulette. They've been out there for a long time. Yeah. And they write these hooks, and I was like, the rhythm guitar licks, and everything's just like, it's that wind up, the build up, the intro, the outro, the chorus, all those things that, used to be like, people would say, oh, it's just formula. Well, it's a great formula though. It's hard to write good original songs where it doesn't sound like somebody from 30 years ago, their song, hey, took a riff from over here, and you kind of, you plagiarized a little bit. But what I loved about,
I think as well, that one of the things about the album, I mean, Ray is, he has this very authentic, I mean, everyone over here, he's kind of this, got a bit of a cult, the guitarist Ray, I'm talking about, he's got this kind of cult status over it. Because as I say, I don't know if you're familiar with the Yaya 2 album.
I'm going to have to go find it.
David, you need to go and find it, buddy. It's an incredible album. It was, they recorded it. They recorded it in LA, and it's got a couple of absolutely incredible songs on there. Great singer, a guy called Sam Blue, who's very Perry-esque.
Yeah.
But Ray's got this very kind of now. I mean, in terms of how guitarists play now, he's got this very kind of distinctive style. He's not a shredder. Though he can, he can do the licks, but he has this brilliant sound, and he brings so much to the table with the writing, and equally, I think from my voice, I'd love to be able to sing like Steve Perry and Lou Gramm, but I obviously have a tone of mine that is a little bit different, and which I think makes our album sound a little bit different. That's certainly a lot of the reviews have said that.
Yeah.
In a good way. It's I've got the pipes, I can get up there, but I can't get up to that crazy high, like some of those guys. But it's got a lot more gravel to my voice. So we have a sound which I think the songs, as I say, they've got a very much of a homage to the era. But the band White Skies does have its own sound, I think, within that genre, if you know what I mean. So yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh at this because you mentioned Loverboy, but when I saw you on a video, I'm like, this is like Mike Reno's brother. I'm sorry.
Hopefully, quite a little bit younger brother though. Yeah,
younger and maybe in a little better physical shape. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's sorry. All right. We can still be friends. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I'm sure. Hey, you never know. They might need a fill-in. And they may be flying you in. You don't know. You just need a guy that looks like Mike Reno.
I remember seeing Loverboy at the Marquee in London. I think it would have been on the what album would it have been? It would have been probably about 87-ish.
Yeah, Notorious and that.
Yeah, it was Notorious. Yeah. And man, the guy can sing.
Yeah, even now, he sounds pretty good. I mean, wow. That's a long time to be singing that kind of range. Yeah,
I'd like to get maybe the Loverboy White, with White Skies supporting tour. That bring that one on.
I keep saying what they need to do is go ahead and do your big tour with Def Leppard and Journey or whatever, but then have like a band like you guys open up before that. You know what I mean? Like here, and maybe not even put you like you can put you guys in like small print. So you're not getting too much of their top billing or whatever, and then people go, who's this White Skies? This is really good, and then you sell a few albums, and then you like the old days, where you used to climb up the ladder.
You get me the contract for that? Yeah, I'll sign that right now.
Well, we'll work on that, brother. We'll do all we can. So the album getting great reception is called Black Tide. Why'd you call it Black Tide?
I wrote the song Black Tide. It's kind of a standout track in terms of it's quite a dark track. I wrote it. We were in the height of the pandemic. There's a lot of stuff going on worldwide that was very kind of troublesome. Politically, without getting heavy on that. There's a lot of things going on in my mind, and I was kind of things were getting on top of me a little bit, and Black Tide was that kind of, I keep on walking into the black tide, I come, and it was that whole kind of just shouting at the world a little bit, and I didn't really even think about the title in terms of the name White Skies. I sent it over to Ray, and he said, well, that's the album title. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, White Skies, Black Tide. It's done. We're done. Perfect. Here, and I was like, oh yeah, that's great. That's really good. And I think literally that for no other reason than that it just sounded great. White Skies, Black Tide. We called the album that. We came up with that great album cover with the two hands, the water. Yeah. Everything just fell into place. It was just a beautiful kind of set of circumstances that that made it work. And it's worked great, so all good. Sometimes the best things happen by mistake, huh?
Yeah, they're right in front of your face too. Like in this case, it looks that's the way it is. So yeah, the great album cover. How are you guys? Are you selling any physical product? Do you know if you're selling anything?
I mean, in terms of numbers, no idea yet. I think it's a little bit early. It only came out 4th of November. I mean, no, I think the record company are really happy with how it's gone. We've there's certainly been looking at where it's been available through all the various outlets and stuff like that. There's looking at them, a lot of it's sold out again, and they're waiting for new copies to come through. So, it's only been available on CD so far. We would love to get it out on vinyl. I'm sure you're aware of how difficult. I don't know what it's like in the States. In Europe, it's a complete nightmare. You're looking at a year wait for vinyl. It's so expensive, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we'd love to get it out on vinyl, and it's something which we'll probably look at somewhere down the line. So in terms of the CD, I think we've done pretty well.
Excellent. That's good news. All right. So if I was to try to purchase a copy of this, where would be I'm in the US, right? Because I've got a lot of, obviously, and people are gonna, like, the other day I had roulette on, and they were, and everybody's like, Dave, I tried to go find that, and I said, try Amazon. And I think Amazon does have it. They charge a lot for it, but they have a few copies of it. Where would I go to get?
100% you can get it from Amazon. If to be honest, in terms of the US, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's an outlet. I'm sure that Pride and Joy have a distributor in the US. The best place to go is you can two places. If you go onto the Pride and Joy website, there will be there's and search for White Skies. Anywhere it's available, it'll tell you there. So fingers crossed, there's an outlet for the US. So on our Facebook page, on our socials, all the links are on there. There's a pin post there with it. There's a link literally where you can get it, and you just click on it. It goes down with many different outlets. So
nice.
Fingers crossed. There's a way to get it in the States that isn't going to cost an arm and a leg. But it's. I can't say certain who the distributor is, etc.
Well, that's good enough, man. You gave us a lot to look into anyway. So look, I appreciate you so much coming on. Like I told you, when we talked on Facebook, I said, hey, my goal is to kind of get you out to the American audience, because there are people who are tired of, like, the drama going on in various rock bands, and they know a lot of their favorite bands are kind of fading away. I know Foreigner just announced this will be their last tour. And Journey's kind of going to be up in the air pretty soon, the way things are going.
That's a soap opera all to itself, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's good for my channel. All right, that's why I keep telling people it's good. It's good for my channel, but in the long run, I always say the industry itself didn't plan on, like, a part 2, a part 3, or whatever. Like, they just said these are the bands, and then everything changed. Everything got very dark and different, and nobody came along. And a band like yours comes along, and I go, hey, I'm just going to tell folks, you're tired of hearing the same music all the time. There's some alternatives out there, and some great music is still being made.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so
Mick,
much.
You're doing
so appreciated. I mean, obviously, for us, the US is it's the golden ticket, and it's somewhere that we would love to be able to come out. And I don't know how viable that is these days, but to have us heard out there, and it is amazing. So thank you so much, and your enthusiasm and your positivity is so appreciated.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and best of luck in this new year in 2023, brother.
The best, my friend. The best. Take care.